Special thanks to these companies for being long-term partners of this channel.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Zach. Here we talk about overlanding, builds, DIY, all sorts of stuff related to modifying your vehicle and getting out there and adventuring in the outdoors. Now today we're going to be talking about a pretty exciting budget piece of equipment that I think a lot of you would benefit from out there. And so I've been actually using this battery right back here, the Bluetti EB150. It's a 1500 watt hour battery. I've had it for over a year and I've been using it. I really love it. Also, everyone kind of across YouTube that's tested it has said it's one of the best portable batteries out there, and they've got great equipment, great pure sine inverters, and so I've really loved my Bluetti product. And they were nice enough and they reached out and they just said, hey, you know, we saw that you really like the EB150. Would you like to test out this smaller battery? And so I was like, sure, let's give it a try. So these are kind of my thoughts, and so I just want to show you all this new battery. I think it's really cool, and they even sent me out a solar panel as well to test with it that will work with the EB150 or with this new smaller battery. And so you can get the AC50S, otherwise they also sell bigger batteries if you don't want something this small. You can also get a smaller solar panel rather than getting this larger 200 watt solar panel. So there's lots of different sizes that Bluetti sells. They sell a lot of awesome power equipment, but I'm gonna just be showing you what they sent me, and I think it's a really good budget battery, and the solar panel's on the little more expensive side. You could opt for something like this if you wanted to charge faster. Otherwise, there definitely are more economical options. So with that being said, I'm gonna do an unboxing, then we're gonna get out there in the real world and we're actually gonna test it out. So let's jump right into it. Okay, so like I always do, I like to show you all what comes in the box before we go test it out in the wild. So let's open this up. This is the AC50S from Bluetti. I think this is like the perfect weekend power supply if you don't have a fridge. And so I'm just gonna show you it. They're running a little sale on Bluetti's website right now. I'm also not sure what color they sent me, so we'll have to find that out here quick. Presume this is just warranty information, stuff like that. Set that aside for now. Open this up here. I presume this is cables. Yep. Okay. We'll check that out in a little bit as well. Looks like they sent me an orange one. Well, I tell you what, I'm not gonna have any problems with losing this thing out exploring. Here's the front of it. We got any power? Oh yeah, we got power. All right, let's set some more of this stuff off to the side. All right, so dimensions, it's about 10 1/4 wide, roughly 8 inches tall, a little under 8 inches tall. And then, well, width here is like 7 1/2-ish and 10 1/4-ish. So it's not a small power supply, but it's definitely pretty tiny. Let me just grab my EB150 for reference. All right, so fitting both of these on camera is gonna be a little challenging, but let's see if we can do it. Okay, so there's my EB150. Here's this little guy. So roughly half the size of this, I guess I would say. If you turn it like this, we're looking at about half. So just to give a little comparison in size. We've got DC and AC outputs here. This is a 500 watt hour battery with a 300 watt max and a 450 watt peak, which I believe is like spiking. Anyways, this is the DC out, so your classic cigarette lighter. We've got also 2 DC outs here, which I actually am not super familiar what those cables are for. So if we just look at this a little bit closer here, we've got the battery. It looks like it's about 80% charged. The display shows you in 20% increments, and then to turn on each, you hold down these buttons. So if you just want DC on or AC on, it's nice. I think if you have one or the other on when you're not using them, there's some parasitic draw. So it probably helps to save power if you only turn one on, which is my guess as to why they add these buttons in here. We've got some DC out here, so we've got some standard USBs, and then we've got a USB-C with 45 watt. I think an iPad is 45 watts, like an iPad Pro. but the MacBook Pros are 60 and 85 watts or something like that. So this isn't like the most powerful output, but it's pretty good size. And you can still charge any of those devices with the USB-C, just gonna charge a little bit slower. It's nice we've got 2 power outlets here, so if you don't have any kind of adapters for DC, you can plug it in, no problem. The other cool thing is on the top here, we've got a wireless charger. So for a wireless charger, all you do is you set your phone right there and it will charge your phone. We've got this nice little built-in handle here. Then if we look on the back here, there's this light where you can turn it on solid, you can turn it on dim, then you can do, I think, this flashing mode. And then here is your input for actually charging. So the corner there, that's where you're gonna hook up, you know, like this cable here. This is a charging cable for a cigarette lighter, like something you'd probably use in your vehicle. We've got a little USB-C to USB-C cable here. Not quite sure what this is for. And then we've got this cable here, which I believe is for using a solar panel. That's pretty sweet. All right, well, that's just kind of the basic features. We've got some cooling fans on the ends here. And honestly, it's pretty lightweight, which I like because my EB150 is pretty heavy, so just being able to kind of pick this up here is really handy. Because of its small form factor, it might be a good thing to be able to set up in your rooftop tent, and that's primarily what I was so excited about this for, is being able to put it in my rooftop tent. Also, in addition to those other 2 cables, it comes with a little power supply like this right here. And if I remember correctly, the biggest qualm people have with these power supplies is the cooling fans run all the time for them. So I'm just gonna quick plug this in and see if that is the case for this power supply as well. All right, so it's plugged in right now. This one sounds silent, so this one must not have a cooling fan in it or something, but it's quiet. All right, well, that's cool. So charging this in the vehicle is probably not gonna make a lot of noise, which is nice. Okie dokie. Next, we are looking at this 200-watt solar panel. I am stoked for this. This is one of their portable solar panel kits, and I got it so that I can use it with either my EB150 or my AC50S. I am pretty stoked to break this open. So I'm gonna crack this out of the box off camera since it doesn't hardly fit on the screen, and then we'll check out the contents of the packaging. Okay, well, it comes nicely packaged in bubble wrap, which is a good thing considering solar panels are a little on the fragile side. I'm glad it came packaged nicely. So let's get all this off of here. Wow, this is massive. It's pretty cool, actually. So on one side here, we've got this, what is this? Oh, this is just a little stand. Set that up there, and then in here keeps all of your cables, I bet. Cool, okay. So now this is coming off of the solar panel. To interface with this, we've got this cable right here. So I believe just plug this in like so. And now we are plugged in, ready to go. So now all we got to do is put this in front of some light and see if it charges. I'm wondering if it will charge off of the lights in here, so I'm gonna try that just to keep it all on camera, but we'll test this in the wild too, so don't worry. Okay, I'm gonna go like this, see if I can keep that cable sitting in there for now and run this cable to my battery. Does not appear to be picking up enough light. If we look on here, the input is 0. So this is probably not gonna work. No shock there though. I mean, for being honest, we're inside with not super great lighting. So I will test this in the real world. Moral of the story, you cannot use solar panels with your shop lights to charge your battery. Okay, let's go outside. Let's check this out for real. Okay, so over the last couple days, I've been using this little guy just as my little weekend power station. Haven't needed to run a fridge or anything, so it's worked out really well. I'm just gonna show you how this little thing will set up here in the wild though. So this 500 watt hours, and then we've got 300 watt peak. So it doesn't run anything too large, but it's got quite a bit of capacity for just, you know, a longer weekend travel or or even super long if you're like only charging your phone. So we've got this kind of all set up and coordinated here. I put the charging cable for this that interfaces with solar into this bag, and I just leave it in there. So I haven't actually taken the twisty ties off of these cables yet, but so that's good to go just like that. I'm gonna leave it just stick out the side. Now these little feet are on every single section of the panel, and to store it, they snap like this, just like that. But if you want, you can take the snap off and you can change the angle that they tilt at. So I've just been setting it at the 45 setting, just like that. And I'll do that for all of the panel sections. Okay, so I'm trying to stay a little bit out of frame so that this isn't too brutal for you to watch. This one, that's the 45. So we'll grab this. I'm gonna try and fold this out the best that I can here. Okay. Go like this. Trying to get it in sun. Might not have direct sun here. There we go. So we've got 3 feet, and then I'm gonna plug this in. And let's see what kind of numbers we're gonna start getting here. All right, so I've got this all set up here, and if we zoom in on the power supply here, let's see if we can get the reading on the screen. Might be kind of hard to see. I'm trying to show all the panels sitting in the sunlight, but when I look at it, it's reading in 122 watts right now. So that's actually pretty good efficiency for a 200 max watt solar panel, but I've got these sitting in direct sunlight. So yeah, and it actually might be limited at 120 watts because the input on the back of this charging station says 120 watt max. So the output of this might be regulated, or maybe it's regulated coming into this, but seems to be working really well. And these solar panels I think are going to be a nice match for the AC50S, but also just using it with my EB150, which is my 1500 watt hour battery, because let's be honest, more power is always helpful. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave this sit here and see how it does. There we go, so we can actually get it to show that 122. So I think it's regulating the input to the battery, but right now with the solar panels, we're at max charging wattage for this battery, which I think is pretty sweet. So you can see too that the little levels are going like this. So it's charging from the 60 to 80 to 100. After a little while, the screen will shut off, and that's just pretty normal. That's one thing that people wish is you could like toggle the screen to stay on. But honestly, at night when I was sleeping in the 4Runner, I had to cover up those little green lights just so that they didn't bother me when I was sleeping. If you have the screen super bright all the time, that could be kind of annoying. So I actually kind of like that it dims the way that it does. Well, these Bluetti batteries were super handy. I've been pretty happy with this solar panel. I've tested it out a couple times over the last couple days, and just doing some garage testing. It seems to work really good. And as you saw, we were getting about 120 watts there. A lot of people will put them over their rooftop tent or their windshield when they're set up at camp to try and get some more coverage. I think that might be a way to even boost this a little bit more. This little battery is pretty slick. It's probably not going to be my go-to for longer trips because you really can't run a big fridge off of this. But for just little weekend trips, it might be really handy. And I think for the kind of ultimate luxury is I might be able to put this in my tent for charging my phone and running my fan, but then I can leave my bigger battery inside of the 4Runner to run my fridge and maybe some other larger electronics. So I'm pretty happy to have this. I think it's going to be a nice little piece of equipment to add to the kit to keep in my rooftop tent. Plus, like this weekend where I really wasn't cooking too much food, this is all I needed. I didn't need my big Bluetti to run my fridge. And honestly, if you're someone out there that does a lot of weekend trips and you can get away with just using a cooler, which I think a lot of people can for weekend camping, this is going to be so handy because it still allows you to keep your phone charged, maybe charge a lantern if you've got a couple of those battery lanterns, or you know, a couple of other things that you might need to charge or run, like a little fan, or you know, maybe if there's just some other things you need charged that are on the smaller side. For us that make a lot of YouTube videos, we're always like, oh, these are so great because you can charge your camera and your drone and all this stuff. And it's like, well, a lot of people don't bring all these random filming electronics along. So I don't want to say that this is the perfect thing for those sorts of equipment, because not everyone really needs to charge all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I really like this battery. I think you should go check it out. I think they've got a sale going on it for the rest of September, but it's also just a really nice price point, and it gets the job done for most of the things you need. And hey, who doesn't even love a little wireless charger up on the top of it? So really encourage you to check it out. So thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you all in the next video.